All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning. I am VC Pramod and with me is Sarabjit Kaur. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says reform in multilateral system is the best signal of commitment for the cause of open societies. G7 leaders reaffirmed their shared belief in open societies, democratic values and multilateralism. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to deliver a keynote address at United Nations Conference on Desertification, Land Degradation and Drought today. All markets and malls to open in Delhi today after further easing of restrictions. Karnataka government announces relaxation in lockdown for districts with lower positivity rates. Southwest monsoon set to arrive in national capital and cover most parts of northwest India by tomorrow. Naftali Bennett sworn in as new Prime Minister of Israel. And in tennis, world number 1 Novak Djokovic clinches his second French Open men's singles title. As many states are relaxing lockdown norms, we advise our listeners not to lower their guard as the COVID-19 pandemic remains a threat to our health. Please stay at home unless it is essential to go out and continue to follow the 4 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene, and get vaccinated. For any COVID-related information and guidance, contact National Helpline numbers 011-2397-8046 and 1075. And now the news. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has called for the reform of the multilateral system as the best signal of commitment to the cause of open societies. Participating on the second day of the outreach sessions of the G7 summit yesterday, Mr. Modi recalled that democracy and freedom were a part of India's civilizational ethos. He shared the concern expressed by several leaders that open societies are particularly vulnerable to disinformation and cyber attacks. He stressed the need to ensure that cyberspace remains an avenue for advancing democratic values and not of subverting it. The Prime Minister took part in 2 sessions titled Building Back Together, Open Societies and Economies and Building Back Greener Climate and Nature. In the session on climate change, Mr. Modi highlighted that the planet's atmosphere, biodiversity and oceans cannot be protected by countries acting in silos. He called for collective action on climate change. Speaking about India's unwavering commitment to climate action, he mentioned the commitment by Indian Railways to achieve net zero emissions by 2030. He stressed that India is the only G20 country on track to meet its Paris commitments. He also took note of the increasing effectiveness of the 2 major global initiatives nurtured by India, the CDRI and the International Solar Alliance. Prime Minister stressed that developing countries need better access to climate finance. He called for a holistic approach towards climate change that covers all dimensions of the problem. Leaders of the UK, Australia, Canada, France, Germany, Italy, India, Japan, South Korea, South Africa and the US and the European Union have reaffirmed shared belief in open societies, democratic values and multilateralism as foundations for dignity, opportunity and prosperity for all. In a G7 and guest countries 2021 Open Society statement, the leaders reaffirmed and encouraged others to embrace the values that bind the countries together, including respect for international rules and norms. They called for an effective multilateral system underpinned by principles of openness, transparency and accountability. This includes access to free and fair rules-based trade as well as collaboration on global challenges, including COVID-19 immunization for the good of all. They also noted the importance of civic space and partnership with diverse, independent and pluralistic civil societies, including human rights defenders, in promoting human rights and fundamental freedoms. They reinforced commitment to the Sustainable Development Goals, including SDG 16, to promote just, peaceful and inclusive societies and to support developing country achievement of the 2030 Agenda.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will deliver a keynote address virtually at the United Nations during the high-level dialogue on desertification, land degradation and drought today. Permanent Mission of India to the UN has said that the Prime Minister will be speaking at the opening segment in his capacity as the President of the 14th session of the Conference of Parties of United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification, UNCCD. It said that President of the General Assembly, Deputy Secretary General, President of ECOSOC and Executive Secretary of the UNCCD will also speak on this occasion. The high-level dialogue will assess the progress made in the fight against desertification, land degradation and drought. It will also map the way forward in view of the end of the UN Decade for Deserts and the fight against desertification and the beginning of the UN Decade on Ecosystem Restoration. This will include generating momentum and raising ambition for using land restoration as a key entry point. The nation continues to march strongly on its path of COVID recovery with gradual decrease in total number of active cases. For the sixth consecutive day, the number of new daily cases remained below the 1 lakh figure. In the past 24 hours, 80,834 new cases were recorded nationwide, which is the lowest in the last 71 days. In the same time span, over 1,32,000 COVID patients recovered from the disease. The recoveries outnumbered the daily new cases for the 31st consecutive day. The ministry added that so far over 2 crore 80 lakh people have recovered from the COVID-19 infection in the country. With this, the recovery rate in the country has further improved to 95.26%. The Health Ministry has informed that 3,303 COVID-related deaths were reported in the last 24 hours, taking the cumulative total to 3,70,384.
India has crossed a major landmark with administration of more than 25 crore doses of COVID-19 vaccine to the beneficiaries so far. The Health Ministry has informed that more than 34,84,000 vaccine doses were given in the country in the last 24 hours. Out of this, nearly 31 lakh beneficiaries were vaccinated for the first dose, whereas over 3,80,000 beneficiaries received their second dose of the vaccine. The cumulative figure of vaccine doses administered under the largest vaccination drive in the country now stands at over 25 crore 31 lakh. The Russian COVID-19 vaccine Sputnik V is likely to be available at Indraprasth Apollo Hospital in Delhi from Tuesday. Our correspondent reports the program for Sputnik V rollout at Indraprasth Apollo Hospital will depend on the consignment received. The first phase of the Sputnik V rollout by Apollo Hospitals and Dr. Reddy's laboratories had started on a pilot basis on 17th May in Hyderabad and on 18th May in Visakhapatnam.
All markets and malls will open in the national capital from today with certain restrictions. Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal announced more relaxations in lockdown restrictions as a part of reopening the national capital in a phased manner. As per the new directions, all market complexes and malls can now reopen from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. without following the odd-even criteria. The restaurants will be opened to 50% seating capacity from today. Mr. Kejriwal announced that weekly markets will resume activity, but only one market will open in one zone. Mr. Kejriwal said if the number of daily COVID cases spike, then Delhi government will again impose curbs. Private offices will run on 50% capacity from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Our correspondent reports that religious places will also be opened, but no visitors will be allowed.
All schools, colleges, cinema halls, multiplexes, gyms, swimming pools and banquet halls will continue to remain shut till further orders. Any gathering for social, political, academic or entertainment reasons is also not allowed. The Delhi Metro and buses will continue to ply with 50% of the capacity. To ensure social distancing, not more than 2 passengers are allowed in autos, e-rickshaws and taxis. Marriages in Delhi cannot be allowed in public places like banquet halls, hotels and marriage halls. The marriages can take place only at home or at the court with not more than 20 people in attendance. Besides, not more than 20 people will be allowed in funerals and last rites. With Dipendra Kumar, Suparna Saikya, AIR News, Delhi.
COVID recovery rate in the national capital Delhi continues its upward trajectory with positivity rate declining to nearly 0.35%. The Delhi government has said that a total of 255 new confirmed cases of coronavirus infection were reported in the national capital yesterday. In the last 24 hours, 376 people recovered and 23 deaths were reported in the city. Presently, the total number of active cases of COVID-19 in the national capital is 3,466. More than 83,286 beneficiaries were vaccinated with COVID-19 vaccine doses in the last 24 hours in Delhi. With this, more than 60,72,000 vaccine doses have been administered so far.
Uttar Pradesh government is focusing on the complete vaccination of all citizens of the state. To promote vaccination and save the environment at the same time, a unique scheme of green gifts has been started for the beneficiaries in Hastinapur area of Meerut, which helped in getting record number of vaccinations in a single day. More from our correspondent.
Come for vaccination and get 1 fruit plant sapling and 2 dustbins, 1 green and 1 blue, absolutely free. This scheme was launched by in charge of Community Health Center Hastinapur, Dr. Ankur Tyagi, with the help of Nagar Panchayat Hastinapur Meerut. Dr. Ankur told AIR,
कोरोना के लिए सबसे ज्यादा जो प्राइमरी ट्रीटमेंट है वो वैक्सीनेशन है। इसलिए हमने एक योजना बनाई है कि अपने इस ब्लॉक पर ज्यादा से ज्यादा स्वास्थ्य कर्मियों की टीकाकर्मियों की टीम बनाकर नगर पंचायत के माध्यम से हमने डस्टबिन और प्रत्येक व्यक्ति को पौधा देने का और वार्ड वाइज वैक्सीन अवेलेबिलिटी वहाँ पे मिले। जितने भी लोग ऐसे हैं जो वृद्ध हैं, विकलांग हैं या जो अस्पताल में आने से डर रहे हैं, तो उनको तुरंत से वैक्सीन वहाँ मिल जाए। उसका लाभ ये मिला है कि एक ही दिन में हमने पूरे जनपद का और मुझे लगता है शायद मंडल का भी रिकॉर्ड तोड़ा है।
Within a single day, a record number of 1,442 people got themselves vaccinated. With Sangeeta Srivastava in Meerut, this is Sushil Chandra Tiwari, AIR News, Lucknow.
In Madhya Pradesh, Yuva Shakti Corona Mukti Abhiyan means free from corona with the help of a youth power campaign will be launched to make people aware about the COVID pandemic. Madhya Pradesh is now at number 26 in the country in terms of corona infection. At the same time, on the basis of suggestions received from the various crisis management committees, a new guideline will be issued in the state by June 15th. More from our correspondent.
In the Yuva Shakti Corona Mukti Abhiyan, college teachers and around 16 lakh students will be made aware of corona infection by learning COVID-appropriate behavior and vaccination. This campaign will be run by the Higher Education and Technical Education Department in collaboration with the Public Health and Family Welfare Department. A mobile app has also been developed for effective real-time online monitoring of the campaign. On the other hand, now 20 persons each from the bride and groom side will be able to participate in the marriage ceremony in the state. However, a corona test of all these persons will be mandatory. Meanwhile, only 274 cases of corona infection have been reported in the past 24 hours in the state, and the recovery rate has reached 98.3%. Sanjeev Sharma, AIR News, Bhopal.
Gujarat has recorded 455 new cases of COVID-19 yesterday. 1,063 patients recovered during the last 24 hours and were discharged from hospitals. More from our Ahmedabad correspondent.
Total 8,75,000 patients have been recovered from COVID-19 in Gujarat till now. The recovery rate further improved and reached up to 97.53%. Maximum 71 new cases of COVID-19 reported from Surat, while Ahmedabad recorded 54 new cases. 6 patients lost their lives yesterday. Gujarat has now 10,249 active cases at present, out of which 253 patients are on ventilator. Meanwhile, 2,34,501 persons have been vaccinated in the state yesterday. With these, more than 2 crore persons have been vaccinated in Gujarat till now. Yogesh Pandya, AIR News, Ahmedabad.
After an 8-week lockdown, 19 districts in Karnataka with lower COVID positivity rate will see a few relaxations starting today. However, 11 districts with high positivity rate will remain under lockdown. More details on this from our Bengaluru correspondent.
The government has allowed industries and establishments to operate, but with a restricted staff strength of 50%. For garment factories, only 30% employees can be engaged daily. Instead of morning 6 a.m. to 10 a.m., the shops selling essential goods can operate till 2 p.m. Auto rickshaw and taxis can operate with 2 passengers limitation. COVID curfew is introduced from 7 p.m. to 5 a.m. on weekdays and from 7 p.m. on Friday to 5 a.m. on Monday during the weekends. Meanwhile, the 11 districts, including Bengaluru Rural, Mysore, Dakshin Kannada, Mandya, Belagavi, Chikmagaluru, Shivamogga, Davangere, Chamarajanagar, Hassan and Kodagu will continue to be under lockdown. Sudhindra, AIR News, Bengaluru.
In Tamil Nadu, the number of COVID patients recovered from the pandemic has considerably increased. Yesterday, more than 25,000 patients returned home after treatment. Around 14,000 people tested positive for COVID. A total of 267 deaths were reported. More than 1,49,000 people are under treatment. Over 2.99 crore samples were tested through RT-PCR for the pandemic till now. Coimbatore and Erode districts continue to register over 1,000 patients each. For the second day, Chennai registered 935 cases.
Indian Railways is continuously engaged in delivery of liquid medical oxygen to various states and union territories. The Railway Ministry has said Oxygen Express trains have crossed the milestone of 30,000 metric tons of liquid medical oxygen delivery across the country. These have been transported by 1,734 tankers. The Railway Ministry has said that 421 Oxygen Express trains have completed their journey and brought relief to various states and union territories. It said 2 Oxygen Expresses carrying more than 177 metric tons liquid medical oxygen in 10 tankers are on run. The Railways Ministry has said that oxygen relief by Oxygen Expresses reached out to 15 states.
You are listening to the morning news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says reform in multilateral system is the best signal of commitment for the cause of open societies. G7 leaders reaffirm their shared belief in open societies, democratic values and multilateralism. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to deliver a keynote address at United Nations Conference on Desertification, Land Degradation and Drought today. All markets and malls to open in Delhi today after further easing of restrictions. Karnataka government announces relaxation in lockdown for districts with lower positivity rates. Southwest monsoon set to arrive in the national capital and cover most parts of northwest India by tomorrow. Naftali Bennett sworn in as new Prime Minister of Israel. And in tennis, world number 1 Novak Djokovic clinches his second French Open men's singles title. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts. The centre has been disseminating awareness of 6 national helpline numbers created for the benefit of citizens during the COVID-19 pandemic. The child helpline number is 1098 for senior citizens of Delhi, Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Tamil Nadu, Telangana, Uttar Pradesh and Uttarakhand. The helpline number is 14567. The helpline number of National Institute of Mental Health and Neurosciences, NIMHANS, for psychological support is 08046110007. Ayush COVID-19 Counselling Helpline number is 14443 and MyGov WhatsApp Help Desk number is 90131511515.
National Commission for Protection of Child Rights (NCPCR) has asked the social media platforms to share information about the social media posts being published for direct adoption of children orphaned during COVID-19 pandemic. The decision came in the wake of complaints received by the Commission against the social media posts which had been posted for giving children for adoption. In a letter written to Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp and Telegram, the Commission has asked the social media platforms that information about such posts must be reported to law enforcement authorities and commissions. Social media platforms have been asked to provide details of Internet Protocol address, origin of the post and other such relevant details. The Commission has said that a compliance or action taken report must be sent to the Commission within 10 days. In Bihar, Chirag Paswan-led Lok Janshakti Party (LJP) has suffered a major jolt when 5 of its MPs formed a separate group under the presidency of Pashupati Kumar Paras. This group has decided to remove Chirag Paswan as the leader of the parliamentary party in Lok Sabha. Pashupati Kumar Paras has been elected as leader of the rebellion group. 5 rebel MPs, Pashupati Kumar Paras, Mehboob Ali Kesar, Veena Devi, Chandan Singh and Prince Raj met Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla and handed over a letter to him about new developments in the party. They requested Speaker to consider Pashupati Kumar Paras as the new leader of the LJP in Lok Sabha. LJP is currently a part of the NDA at the centre.
Niti Aayog CEO Amitabh Kant has said, in order to shape a post-COVID reality, there is no way out for India but growth. Mr. Kant emphasized that India has an opportunity to usher in change that will see the society transform within a generation. Speaking to a news agency, Mr. Kant said, a lot of FDI has come into India and it is an opportunity to attract best manufacturers. He said now time has come to make India the simplest and easiest place to do business and use technology. He also emphasized that it is also opportunity to get into cutting-edge areas of growth. The government has clarified that there is no cyber breach into NIC email system. The email system is totally safe and secure. A media story on impact of data breaches in organizations such as Air India, Big Basket and Domino's has claimed that these breaches have exposed email accounts and passwords of NIC emails to the hackers. Electronics and IT Ministry has clarified that there has been no cyber breach into the email system of the Government of India maintained by the National Informatics Centre. It said cyber security breach on external portals may not impact the users of government email service unless the government users have registered on these portals using their government email address and have used the same password as the one used in the government email account.
Naftali Bennett was sworn in as the new Prime Minister of Israel last night after winning a conference vote with the narrowest of margins, just 60 votes to 59. His victory ended the 12-year power of former Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, the country's longest-serving leader. Former Defense Minister and high-tech millionaire Bennett, a 49-year-old leader of the right-wing Yamina party, took oath of office after the Israeli parliament Knesset elected him as the 13th Prime Minister by a 60-59 vote in the 120-member House. One lawmaker abstained. The Knesset last night voted on the new coalition government led by Mr. Bennett. His government has 27 ministers, 9 of them women. In Switzerland, voters rejected key climate change measures in a popular vote. The climate proposal was one of the several measures that Swiss voters cast their ballots nationwide yesterday. The voters also rejected proposals that would have made Switzerland the first European country to ban synthetic pesticides following a bitterly fought campaign. A referendum saw voters narrowly reject the government's plans for a car fuel levy and a tax on air tickets. The measures were designed to help Switzerland meet targets under the Paris Agreement on climate change.
In tennis, world number 1 Novak Djokovic clinched his second French Open men's singles title after beating world number 5 Stefanos Tsitsipas in the 5-sets battle at Roland Garros last night. Fighting back from 2 sets down, the 34-year-old Serb has won the match 6-7, 2-6, 6-3, 6-2, 6-4 against 22-year-old Tsitsipas to claim his 19th Grand Slam title. He is now one short of men's 20 Grand Slam titles record of Rafael Nadal and Roger Federer. The Serbian world number 1 increased his Grand Slam tally to 19 titles and is now one adrift of the men's record holder by Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal. With 39 days to go for Tokyo Olympic Games, All India Radio today takes a look at India's best bet in the boxing ring, Amit Pangal.
Born on October 16, 1995, Amit Pangal is the first Indian male pugilist to win a silver medal at the World Championships. The Rohtak-based current world number 1, Pangal has been a regular member of the Indian national team set up since becoming the national champion in 2017 and is the best bet for India in the flyweight 52 kg category in Tokyo. The 25-year-old went on to win a silver at the 2018 Commonwealth Games before clinching a gold medal at the 2018 Asian Games.
तो मैं 52 kg में अपने देश को ओलंपिक्स में रिप्रेजेंट करने जा रहा हूँ। मैं मानता हूँ कि साई का और टॉप्स का बहुत ही अहम रोल है क्योंकि हम जहाँ भी जाते हैं हमारे पीछे मिल रहता है कि साई हमारी देखभाल करने के लिए है। एथलीट की लाइफ में मेरे हिसाब से एक डिसिप्लिन में रहना बहुत ही जरूरी है और जो भी हमारे कोच या जो भी शेड्यूल बनाते हैं अगर हम उन पे फोकस करके अगर उन पे प्रैक्टिस करते रहेंगे तो जो ओलंपिक्स मेडल की जो हमारे देश को जरूरत है मेरे हिसाब से वो हम पूरी कर पाएंगे।
Before the pandemic severely curtailed the sporting calendar, Amit won gold at 2019 Asian Championships and followed that up with a historic silver at the 2019 World Championships in Russia.
Indian Meteorological Department IMD has said that southwest monsoon is set to arrive in Delhi by tomorrow, 12 days ahead of its schedule. Talking to AIR News, IMD DG M. Mahapatra said that the monsoon is on course to cover most areas of northwest India by tomorrow. He said conditions are favourable for further advance of southwest monsoon into most parts of Madhya Pradesh, remaining parts of East Uttar Pradesh, Delhi, more parts of West Uttar Pradesh, Haryana and Punjab during the next 48 hours.
इस बार साउथ वेस्ट मानसून का प्रोग्रेस बहुत एक्टिव है और अभी तक साउथ वेस्ट मानसून एंटायर साउथ इंडिया, सेंट्रल पार्ट्स, ईस्ट एंड नॉर्थ ईस्ट इंडिया कवर कर चुके हैं और नॉर्थ वेस्ट इंडिया में जम्मू एंड कश्मीर, हिमाचल प्रदेश, उत्तराखंड और ईस्ट यूपी कवर हो चुका है। हमारी उम्मीद है कि अगले 2 दिन के अंदर नॉर्थ वेस्ट इंडिया का और कुछ हिस्सा दिल्ली समेत मानसून प्रोग्रेस कर सकता है। इसके प्रभाव में बारिश भी बहुत अच्छे हो रहे हैं और अगले 2 दिन के लिए ये बारिश स्पेशली सेंट्रल इंडिया, यूपी, एमपी वगैरह एरिया में कुछ इलाके में हेवी टू वेरी रेनफॉल हो सकता है।
And now let us take a look at the weather forecast for the day. Jammu will have a partly cloudy sky, becoming generally cloudy towards the afternoon or evening. The minimum temperature was 22 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around 38 degrees. Srinagar will have a partly cloudy sky. Leh, the minimum and maximum temperature will be between 7 and 23 degrees Celsius. Gilgit, the temperatures will hover between 15 and 36 degrees Celsius. Muzaffarabad, the minimum temperature was 19 degrees Celsius and the maximum will be around 38 degrees. And now an overview of today's newspapers. More curbs eased, all shops, saloons to open is the lead in the Hindustan Times. The paper adds that dine-in allowed in restaurants with 50% capacity. All shops can open from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. India, natural ally of G7 in taking on global challenges. PM Modi is the lead in the Tribune. Mostly all the dailies have covered prominently the story of the southwest monsoon arriving in Delhi over the next 48 hours. All the papers have covered the story of Novak Djokovic winning his second French Open and 19th Grand Slam title by rallying past Stefanos Tsitsipas in a seesaw final at the Roland Garros. And finally, the Hindustan Times says on its front page that an auction for a ride in space next month, along with Jeff Bezos, ended with a winning $28 million bid on Saturday.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says reform in multilateral system is the best signal of commitment for the cause of open societies. G7 leaders reaffirm their shared belief in open societies, democratic values and multilateralism. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to deliver a keynote address at United Nations Conference on Desertification, Land Degradation and Drought today. All markets and malls to open in Delhi today after further easing of restrictions. Karnataka government announces relaxation in lockdown for districts with lower positivity rates. Southwest monsoon set to arrive in the national capital and cover most parts of northwest India by tomorrow. Naftali Bennett sworn in as new Prime Minister of Israel. And in tennis, world number 1 Novak Djokovic clinches his second French Open men's singles title. For details of these stories and more, log on to our website www.newsonair.com and News on AIR app. And with that, we end the morning news. Have a nice day.